Hello and welcome to Visual Radio. Today's discussion, the Encore Boston Harbor Hotel, the Encore Boston Harbor. June 21, Press Corps Day. Paul Norman and I went over to the Everett Boston facility. Totally amazing. It's just stunning. So what we're going to do on the program is discuss this wonderful new, spacious, luxurious place right outside of Boston. Paul, how are you?
I'm doing great, Joe.
I had fun with you.
Here.
I had fun with you.
Well, it was a great day. It was something that I didn't have on my calendar. And all of a sudden it popped up as an opportunity, and it was a wonderful experience.
And the day after, I was in the water. We'll talk about that another time, but literally in the Mystic River, all cleaned up and beautiful. So from the casino, the hotel, is this beautiful new waterway, which was the old Mystic River.
It's an amazing transformation. I'm really excited to tell all of you a little bit about the beautiful resort that we now have in our backyard. This is quickly going to become one of the top tourist destinations in Boston. Its fine restaurants will be your special occasion restaurants for dining, and I think you'll find that the convention space that they have will quickly fill up and bring many convention attendees into Boston.
Well, Saturday night, the 29th, they had Earth, Wind, and Fire, and they don't have bands there, per se. They had the ballroom where we had, what did we have, lunch?
Yes.
Amazing lunch.
It was wonderful.
There's going to be so much digression on the show because it's just it just brings back the. I went to the breakfast and because you had a crutch with you, which thankfully you're not with tonight.
That's right. My recovery's progressing.
Really nice woman, Maria, came over and helped you with your dinner, our breakfast, our lunch, whatever. You had everything there.
Right.
I had the breakfast, and then I went over to the lunch table and grabbed a little of that. And I've known Everett all my life. Mike's Donuts is where I used to go in the middle of the night to have coffee and write my poetry and whatever. The landmark, Mike's Donuts. And now I'm like in this area where I'm like having breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And this is no longer the land of Mike's Donuts, the street and the old world Everett, when they had the trolley and everything. Now it's a new world.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I think you'll find interesting as we talk about the resort tonight. It's a transformation of an area that you knew well. Many people used to go there, as you said, for donuts, and now we have a first-class resort on the same spot. It was the old Monsanto Chemicals facility, which required major cleanup of the environment, and we're fortunate to be able to share with all of you some photos of the facility, so you get a chance to see what it's like, and you'll eventually learn that there is a place in Boston and Massachusetts to have a drink after 2 a.m.
More than just a drink, it's someplace to go because we're not New York City. And so Boston shuts at 2. And I've been in the music business, since 73, 72, way back when. And there was, luckily for me, I could go out at 18, 19, 20. The drinking age kind of graduated with me. Mm-hmm. And so I was out there at 18 years old, and the bars you could drink. But it all shut down. Boston, you couldn't stay at the record stores at 3 a.m. The things you wanted to do because you're 21 years old, you're energized. Uh-huh. And this place, this is more than a casino, and that's the whole point.
It's much more than a casino. I think you'll find that this is a place that you will have a great time at, whether you gamble or not. There's so much to see and do, and tonight we're going to introduce you to Encore Boston Harbor. Now, you may not know that other than Las Vegas, this is the first casino that is located within such close proximity to a major metropolitan area. It's only 5 miles from Logan Airport, and it is 5 miles or less from the financial district. And as a result, Encore anticipates that many of the Boston tourists who come for the history and the culture that we have here will quickly add the Encore to their itinerary.
Not only that, what I felt on the Saturday was that Encore is making an effort worldwide to bring people here and show them that Boston is a destination. Because a lot of people come to New England. Where do they go? Do they go to Cape Cod? They go to Old Orchard Beach, York Beach. They go to places other than Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been here all 65 years. They took us on the duck boat. They took us into the North End. North End, I've been to the feasts. I saw more about the North End than I've seen in 65 years. And Encore Boston Harbor has that kind of idea to bring you here and see this amazing Fratelli's. So
Sure.
the Di Pasquale has the bread making company. So we went down the little alley, and he's got 18 different kinds of salami. And then they gave us a wonderful delicacy. Then they take us down to the little bread shop, and they gave us all a loaf of bread, and they told us about the bread. Carla told us, she led the tour. Just stuff I've never seen as an Italian in the North End.
And, you know, it's going to be so easy for visitors to the North End to get to the casino. They have built 4 high-end harbor ferry boats that will be taking trips from the Long Wharf and from the seaport. They have nonstop shuttle buses that are going to be bringing guests from 2 T stops, the Blue Line Wonderland Station, and also the
Orange Line.
Orange Line Wellington Station.
Well, the Wellington's 24 hours, but from 5:30 in the morning till 12:30 a.m., it goes to Malden as well.
Okay.
Back to Wellington, back to the, so it's got a nice little route every 20 minutes, I believe. Maybe 10, I'm not sure.
And for those of you who want to brave the traffic, which hopefully won't be as bad as it has been forecasted because of these other transportation options, they have 2,900 parking spaces there.
You got free valet parking.
Well, I had a broken ankle, but not all the guests are going to be so lucky. But for $22, you can park for 6 hours, which is enough time to have a wonderful dinner and to have some fun at the casino. So it's pretty modest. And if you want to stay all night, it's only $40. So they've figured out some good ways to get people into the casino and the resort. So maybe we should start our tour with the scenic waterfront gardens.
Now, I could hang out there at 3 in the morning instead of Mike's Roast Beef, which is still there. The donut shop left in 2014, but Mike's Roast Beef is still there. But I could be down near the water. I don't know if I would imagine you could still hang out on the lawns and the chairs out there and write and whatever.
I'm sure you can. I mean, you can see how beautiful the gardens are here
Manicured.
in this photo. The flowers are going to be changed seasonally, so there'll always be a new display to enjoy. And there are beautiful sculptures that are here in our next picture that are showcased around the property. And this is one thing that I think the guests will find interesting. The Wynn casinos are known for the high-end art that they include at their destinations. So here's one example of some interesting sculpture that's along the waterfront. So after you have a chance to get off the boat, enjoy the gardens, it's time to enter the casino.
Isn't that a theme, the 3 heads? There's some kind of theme behind that. Angelic or, I forget what the
It's-
theme is. There is a theme there.
I don't know if it's hear no evil, see no evil, do no evil, but maybe it's something like that.
We're going to talk about Popeye?
We are going to talk about Popeye,
All right.
but first, we entered the casino and were greeted by this wonderful Alice in Wonderland-like environment. And here you see the merry-go-round that is the first thing that you see when you enter the resort complex. This has 80,000 flowers that adorn the merry-go-round. And believe it or not, this display is going to be seasonal.
Though they're alive, right? The flowers on the merry-go-round are alive.
Well, we had somewhat of a interesting answer from our tour guide, Danielle. There certainly are a number of them that are alive. What was also interesting is that they plan to be changing that display periodically. In fact, she mentioned when she first came to Boston and they were getting ready to open, they had a Ferris wheel in that spot. So immediately you enter the land of enchantment. And everybody knows, whether you're young and old, you're here to have a good time, and we're here to give you a good time.
You call it Alice in Wonderland, I call it the Land of Oz. But it's still magical imagination and an array on the senses.
Absolutely.
And not only visually, but taste, when they gave us some of the foods or the drinks. Everything is about the senses and exciting the senses.
Right. Now, the next picture, you're going to see an example of some of the exquisite art that is on display. This is not inside the casino. This is part of the resort complex, and this is an area where there are some high-end retail stores, only about 6 or 7. One focused on men's fashion, women's fashion, a separate store, a Swiss watch store. So exactly where you want to go when you strike it rich to bring home that nice gift for your significant other.
Which could be a hotel room itself, which,
It could be.
I don't want to go ahead of you,
Okay.
but the hotel rooms,
Well, before we go to the hotel rooms,
All
which
right,
are
thank you.
exquisite, you mentioned the Popeye statue, and this is something that was brought to Encore Boston Harbor from the Las Vegas Wynn Casino. It's a Jeffrey Coons statue that Steve Wynn in 2014 paid $28 million for, and it's worth every penny. In fact, it's appreciated in value, and it's on display for everyone to enjoy, again, before you even enter the gaming area. So,
art is so subjective. I can't see spending $28 million on Popeye.
oh, come on, Joe.
It was beautiful. It's beautiful, but it's still, I mean, if you put it on, what was that game show? Not What's My Line, but you guess the price.
Price is Right?
The Price is Right.
Yeah.
No way in a million years I'd get the price on that.
Well, as long, you don't win if you go over. So you would definitely be probably under by multi-millions in your guess, I'm sure.
I guess it'd have been like about $400,000 or $500,000.
Okay.
I mean-
Well, it's a very whimsical piece of art, and it just gives you a feel for the environment. Everything is designed to put a smile on your face.
And it evokes your youth
Yes.
in a subtle way. Everyone's an adult in there. It's a gambling casino, but they're touching on the heartstrings of the youth, and everything, Sinatra's, everything evokes some kind of memory from way back when, and the future of the Mystic River.
Sure.
I ramble on. I
So you
digress.
mentioned the hotel. Why don't we take a minute and show our viewers some of the luxury accommodations. There are 670 luxury rooms, including 21 suites, all of which have iPads to control everything from the lights, the temperature, the window shades, to what music you're going to listen to.
And we couldn't say the word Alexa.
No, if
We were
said,
not allowed to say Alexa.
No, it would have definitely started the electronic communication process and would have screwed things up for the guests that were going to be arriving that weekend. But these rooms, as you can see, have a beautiful view of the city of Boston. It's going to be wonderful to see the city lit at night.
Well, you see the Zakim Bridge, that's front and center.
And it's the only luxury resort that has a view of Boston, because all the other ones are in Boston. So here, this spot, you see the harbor, you see the city, and these rooms are priced comparably to the Four Seasons and the Mandarin Hotel in Boston. In other words, the most expensive hotels in the city. And they all have water views. Half of them, as we said, are viewing the city of Boston, and the other half are viewing the Mystic River.
These are for the high rollers. Now, the room I was in, and there were colliding tours, so that was the fun thing. You were in our tour, and then I slipped over to the other tour in the hotel room because I wanted to see the billiards table. But it's funny, there were simultaneous tours going on at the same time. I'd say there were about 200 people there on the Friday.
Yeah, there were only
Critics
200 press members that were with us, and what you're referring to was the elegant and spacious Chairman's Suite, 3 bedrooms, 2 levels, the billiard room, spacious living room, and I don't think I'll be spending a night there, but there will be some high rollers that will be enjoying that beautiful accommodation.
Now, visual radio, we've been around, since 95, so I don't usually gush about things. And I'm just so impressed because Everett has changed. Everett has massively changed by this. This is like turning on a light switch. So if we sound like we're, this is just an amazing place. And like I said, Mike's Donuts was my haunt. So like your haunt is suddenly, the chemical plant's gone.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what to think when they said they were going to clean up the Mystic River. I had fun on the boat. So we wanted to do the special visual radio on something very special in Boston. And it could have went the other way. People are like, oh God, the traffic. What are we gonna, I mean, that's the big thing. What are we going to do about the traffic? So far, so good. Because where I live, I thought there would be a spillover. And there wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So they had 50,000 people on that Sunday, and they had those fireworks in the daytime,
Right.
which were amazing too. But this is something that has changed our area. This is something that has changed our space. It's worthy of discussion. And Paul and I had fun. So that's the only way to put it. This isn't an infomercial by any means. This is 2 critics eyeing it, and it could have went the other way. Like, what did they do? They should have put it elsewhere. Maine, Revere, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of fits where it is.
Yeah.
The river, the Mystic River is now cleaner, and this place is fun. And I'm not a gambler. I intend to hang out there a lot.
It'll be a great spot.
And not to gamble, to just hang and have fun.
And if you want, you can enjoy the luxurious spa as a place to relax. Where we have a photo here of the spa facilities, and they have 16 different treatment rooms, including one co-ed room where you and your significant other can be pampered together.
And it's all opulence. It's all luxury, luxury, luxury. So you have to be in another realm, so to speak. We're just objectively looking at it. We're not telling you to go there. I'm just saying, like, wow. They're going to expand, too, across the street.
That's right. We'll share a little bit of that with you a little later in the show, but this is...
I like dropping hints.
This crown jewel will be a magnet and bring people in not only for enjoying this luxury resort, but as you mentioned, they're going to create a 11-acre entertainment district across the street. So this is just the first step of transforming Mike's Donuts and the Monsanto chemical plant to a international tourist destination.
Let me ask you this, and this is just a theory. Do you think Somerville, Medford, other cities and towns, Revere, can actually hop onto this by bringing in things that they wouldn't have thought of before? Medford is thinking of a water shuttle.
Okay.
So that's what they're planning. They've been planning this for years, so they knew the casino was coming in. Medford in a water shuttle, it was something I wasn't jumping up and down for, being April to October, maybe, April to September. But now, after seeing the resort, I'm thinking, this is a good fit for Medford.
Well, the surrounding communities are definitely going to have some economic benefit, but it'll be interesting to see if the entrepreneurs in those areas can figure out some nice tie-ins to be able to leverage all the folks that are going to be coming in to this region that hadn't been there before.
Let's digress a little bit, because that's what visual radio is about, digression. Around the casino, there's all these condos going up. Medford, Somerville, certainly Revere. All this new landscape is all being transformed.
Mm-hmm.
People need to be visionary and think in terms of matching with what is now in Everett, some kind of like complement to go along with it. I mean, even as far as like glass bridges from one condo to another. I mean, if the skyline changes, you can actually have walkways from city to city, potentially,
Yeah,
and it would be fun.
that would be.
Our leaders come and go. There needs to be some frame of reference where people can think of the future and say, 20 years from now, wouldn't this be outer space dazzling? To be able to go to the resort by walkways to the Schrafft's building. The Schrafft's building in and of itself is a historical landmark.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just down the street.
Right.
There's all sorts of stuff that can happen in the next 15 years.
Well, they're actively planning on having walkways from the Assembly Square retail complex. So they're trying to actively connect different locations in close proximity to the casino and make it very easy for the casino people who are coming in to experience some of the surrounding retail and entertainment areas.
I want a Jetsons walkway.
Okay.
I mean, you know, the roller, so like you don't have to like, you can exercise and walk, or you can get on the roll thing and take pictures.
I think it can happen. It's just a matter of vision and money.
All right, so when we went there Friday morning, you'd seen pictures, you'd seen news articles. What did you think when you got in there? Did it?
I was very surprised by the fact that I thought I was going to a casino. And while I did go to a casino, I really was surprised by the fact that there's so much more. You don't have to be a gambler to have a wonderful time at this resort. In fact, one of the things that we wanted to share with you is some of the high-end restaurants that are available for anyone to go and have a wonderful meal.
If my brain is working, I think there's 18 of them.
There's 15. 4 of them are high-end. We have a photo here of the restaurant Sinatra. This is one of two restaurants authorized by the Sinatra family in the country. And the menu features Frank's favorite Italian food. You can see the environment prominently features Frank. And I'm sure that you'll enjoy many of his tunes as you sit down and dine.
I'm sure as well. That is part of the program. Can I make my movie there? That'd be a nice scene for a movie.
It would be a great spot for a movie. The next restaurant that would also be a good spot is called Mystique. And this is a restaurant that has several open kitchens. It features it's an Asian-inspired menu on multiple, and the restaurant is on multiple levels, including some waterfront dining tables, some seats at the sushi bar, and this will certainly be a restaurant that many guests will enjoy.
The environment, just being in there, I just felt good being in these different restaurants. The way they went about this, it's all first class, including, as you said, Danielle, our tour guide. She was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
If I can digress a little again, Danielle, and then David with the Convention Bureau, he was a tour guide. Carla, Flo on the duck boat. These people had their information down, and they were entertaining. So they fed us information on the history of Boston, as well as Danielle, every aspect of the casino. I just said to her, "You're amazing." It was all top flight.
Absolutely. I think it's just an indication of what they're bringing to the guests. We were just guests, the first wave of guests, and I would certainly expect all of you who come as guests to have a similar experience. In addition to some of these high-end restaurants, there's a couple of bars that you can enjoy. We were treated to a presentation at the Waterfront Bar by the president of Harpoon Brewery here in Boston. And this bar is, the decor is beautiful. It's brick walls and arched brick ceilings. Each brick was hand-placed, and it features draft beer from some of New England's many craft breweries. There's also another fun spot called the On the Deck Burger Bar. And this is the sports bar equivalent. So you can see lots of screens, lots of action. They serve gourmet burgers here. And I think that eventually when sports gambling is approved in Massachusetts, this will be a very popular spot. Now, by the way, the casino does expect that sports wagering will be approved. It's something that Governor Baker is proposing in his 2020 budget. And so they have contemplated this and have space available where sports wagering will be accepted.
It's all just, the senses are reeling.
Yeah, it is. And talk about senses reeling. After you've had this wonderful dinner, you can go into the Memoir nightclub and be prepared to come with earplugs.
Thank you.
Because the sound system, which they demonstrated, will knock you off your feet into, hopefully, a chaise or lounge nearby. It is amazing. And this is brought to the Encore by Big Name Entertainment. They are the operators of the fun Scorpion Bar, the Grand nightclub, the Empire Restaurant, all
Just over
in the Seaport District, among other places. So they have brought this high-end nightclub to the Encore, and we were told that Shaquille O'Neal was already a guest DJ for at the nightclub just last week.
I think he's a DJ regular out in Vegas.
He does apparently do some DJing in Vegas. I had never heard that he had gone beyond slam dunks to DJing, but apparently he's a big attraction.
You know, this goes back to the days of Avalon and the dance clubs machine. But it's all evolved. So when I was in there, it's like, that's not my scene. I'm over 60. I like classic rock. But it's so beautifully put together. And it was too much for me. I had to hold my ears in. But I've seen this thing evolve. The Paradise had like this front room back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have fun in the front room. There'd be shows in the back. You hang out with the record execs and whomever the names would come in, and people would hang out with them. Then it became Stitch's Comedy Club. Then it became M80, and I believe the Paradise was the biggest purchaser of Dom Perignon in New England. So this big entertainment, what they're doing, is kind of an extension of what I saw in the 80s and 90s, the evolution of it. And now it's huge. It is actually big entertainment. It's just evolved.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's not my cup of tea. I'd rather be writing my poetry out at I'm serious. I'd rather have a cup of coffee somewhere and think. It's too much for my brain. But the kids are going to love it.
They will. So
I'd like to ramble.
we've been sharing this information about the new resort, and we haven't even really shown our viewers the casino.
But that's because it's intentionally beyond casino. I mean, that was the whole thing they were telling us, and it's true. But, I was pessimistic before I saw it. The cleaning of the Mystic River, the other than gambling, other things to do, and they've done it. They've actually achieved something that's not only, as you said, the first one so close to a major metropolis, but
Right.
They made good on their promises, and that's why I'm kind of gushing over it, where that's not the normal way I do visual radio.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm looking forward to this new space.
So for those of you who want to strike it rich, they have a 210,000 square foot gaming floor. There are over 3,000 slot machines, 200 gaming tables, and this gaming area is larger than the gaming area at both Wynn Las Vegas casinos combined. They brought in the elegant red Italian hand-blown glass chandeliers that you see here from the Vegas property, just like they brought the Popeye statue in from the Vegas property.
And there are a lot of those red candles. I mean, it goes, if you're in there, it goes on and on and on. There's red candelabra, whatever.
Chandeliers, yes.
Chandeliers, they go on forever. So
That's right.
What did it take to ship them out?
They spared no expense.
And let me ask you this. If you're at the Monsanto chemical plant, could you ever imagine chandeliers and, the transformation?
It's night and day.
It's stark.
Night and day.
Yeah.
So as you can see, there is so much to see and do there. But what is also interesting is that this is not just a story about entertainment for Boston tourists and for the Massachusetts residents. This is a story about local economics and the vision of a mayor, Mayor Carlo DiMaria of Everett, to transform his city from a gritty northern Boston suburb with older homes and active manufacturing
It
sites
was a desert.
to the crown jewel north of Boston.
In the 70s, they changed the Orange Line, which now goes to Malden Center, but the Orange Line was going to Everett.
Uh-huh.
So now you have this whole change in the public transportation dynamic.
Right,
It's all changed.
right. So he had a vision that the Monsanto chemical plant would be no more. And
It was still there when they decided to move in.
I don't think that it was still operating, but
it was-
the land was, we'll show a photo in a little bit of what it used to look like there in the site. But, he has not only, his vision not only changed the reputation and the image of Everett, but it brought 700 jobs to Everett residents of the 5,500 jobs that the Encore Boston Harbor has brought to the region. The amount of money that has come in as a result of this, the payroll alone is $170 million.
That I did not know.
They plan to spend $100 million a year with local suppliers, food suppliers, all the things that are necessary to run this magnificent resort. The priority is going to go to local suppliers. And of course, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is going to get 25% of the gaming revenue, which in its first year is forecast to be $100 million. In addition to that, the resort anticipates spending about $140 million on other fees. Clearly, this has created a challenge for the local towns, especially Everett. How will they be able to support this overnight resort that has now arrived on the scene?
What I'd like to see is, if you go to Mike's Roast Beef, which is still there, and McDonald's is there, as you head towards Chelsea, the roads are terrible. And if people ride bikes on them, your car is on a rocky road heading towards Logan Airport, going through Chelsea. And there's a lot of industry there. That's got to change because, like you said, night and day, you can't continue to have that night and day.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because the Massachusetts Gaming Commission, of the revenue that they receive from all the new legalized gambling casinos in Massachusetts, the other one, of course, is the MGM in Springfield.
Where Aerosmith are playing.
That would be fun to go to. In total, the revenue from gaming is going to be approximately $161 million a year, $100 million, as I said, from the Encore. And how is that money going to be used? Well, 50% of that money is going to be allocated to local community aid. So it'll be going to each of the communities in the state. Transportation infrastructure and education. So those three areas will receive 50% of the revenue that's generated from the casino gambling that's now been approved. Everett specifically received a $30 million community enhancement fee. That's already been paid and is in the Everett coffers. And in lieu of property taxes, the city of Everett and the Encore agreed to a $20 million fee for property taxes. In lieu of property taxes, it'll be paid annually, and a $5 million economic stabilization payment. I may not have the word exactly right, but this was all part of the agreement that was signed between Everett and the Encore ownership before construction began. And not only that, the Encore recognizes that the other communities in the area will have some challenges in supporting the increased traffic. So $2 million a year is going to Boston, and $1 million a year is going to both Medford and Malden.
Well, now, what's a problem in the news today, locally, and what does the casino need? The MBTA, front page news, 2 trains derailed. The city of Boston and Massachusetts itself has to enhance this public transportation immediately. Has to be addressed. And because the casino's there, it's in their best interest that we upgrade the MBTA. This is mandatory.
Well, some of the investment that they've made already was specifically focused on the transportation infrastructure that would be immediately impacted. So Sullivan Square, for example, Broadway, they already have paid for some enhancements. Now, maybe it's not enough, and maybe we need more, but the point is that the second largest percentage of this gambling revenue that this Commonwealth is going to receive will be going for transportation infrastructure.
Now, last Tuesday night, Wednesday night, I think it was Tuesday night, I saw Spider-Man, okay? At some of the theaters I go to, and you've been to the Fenway with me, where we get a great discount on the parking, and another place, great discount on the parking. Spider-Man was at the Boston Common, which the discount is not there. So you have to pay top dollar. So I took the train in. They forced us to take a shuttle on the way home. So we had to leave Wellington and get on a shuttle to go to the Malden Center, where I walk. Simultaneous with this, and I have photos, July 1st, they raised the rates for the MBTA. 2 derailments, this shuttle thing when I'm coming home from seeing the premiere of Spider-Man, and we have a new casino in town. It's all connected here, and the casino can be very big in changing this crazy way that we have this public transportation and raising rates but less service. That's not cool. And I would think the Gaming Commission and the casino have got to address that, and maybe they will.
I would think so.
It's in their best interest and ours.
Absolutely.
But finally, there's someone else that can make the argument, except for just the citizens who always take a back seat to, they raised the rates today. I mean,
Right.
It's 15 cents, but that hurts.
Especially when the service continues to be poor.
To build Assembly Square, the stop for the Orange Line, you know, my partner, he had to get on these shuttles night after night, and he didn't like it. It was disruptive. But then they built this beautiful stop, but it came at a cost. But anyway, we're talking about the infrastructure in and around this brand new, beautiful gem, and it's worthy of discussion. Worthy of discussion in future shows.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I didn't mean to digress, but I do.
Well, as you said, this is, as we were talking, this is a story about local economics and how money that's going to be coming in and how that money can be used to improve the region. So hopefully this new revenue stream will not only benefit the labor market in Boston, we may see some increases in housing prices, but you're right. In order to support that, we're going to need to invest in the infrastructure. One other interesting note that in the context of gambling revenues in Massachusetts, I mentioned that they're forecasting $161 million to be coming from the new casinos. That pales in comparison to the $1 billion that's generated by the state lottery. So at least now we have some out-of-state Boston tourists that are going to be spending their money on gambling and helping our communities improve.
Well, I saw machines there for the local lottery.
Uh-huh.
Did you see them?
Yeah, they were there. I was surprised to see those vending machines. You can't find a Coca-Cola vending machine, but you can buy the Daily Number and many other lottery tickets there if you are feeling so inclined.
Now, you know what I'd like to see? I was talking about Spider-Man. You've got the AMC over in Somerville, where I saw Shaft the other night.
Uh-huh.
And I liked Shaft. I'm a movie critic, so Shaft I liked. I had a blast. My friend Cindy, we went and had a blast. No one thought of an all-night, overnight movie theater at the Encore Boston Harbor. That would have been a 4 a.m. movie. You got gamblers if you want to get away from the gambling table and go see a movie. That would be an awesome thing to add.
Well, that's an example of some creative new development surrounding the casino. As we mentioned, the Wynn team bought 11 acres across the street. It's going to be a little mini Everett Strip. There it
Oh,
is.
Dig underground before you get to the water in the boat and put the movie theater in underground. To me, but it would just be a glitzy, wonderful addition. That's my 2 cents.
I'd like to see an IMAX theater across the street.
Ooh.
I'd like to see an entertainment venue that maybe holds 3,000 to 5,000 people for some intimate shows. There's all sorts of things that can and will be developed by the Wynn property owners and selected developers to bring more tax revenues to the city of Everett.
Now, what about Wakefield? How can, by extension, this come over to Wakefield? Shuttle buses? How do Wakefield people get to
Well,
Encore?
the easiest way for Wakefield residents to come to the casino is to take the Orange Line from Oak Grove, very close by, plenty of parking. And yes, the fee just went up 15 cents today, but it's still a pretty economical ride down to Wellington Station. And
To the free shuttle?
you get on the free shuttle, and you arrive at the door. So that would be my choice on how to have fun and get there for Wakefield residents.
Now, Wakefield, right down the street at 128, you have the IMAX Jordan's Furniture. Have you been there?
Yes,
It's beautiful.
it's very nice.
In fact, that is almost a mini kind of what we're talking about here. That Jordan's complex is amazing.
It is, and in some respects, you're right. The Encore Boston Harbor is similar because you're not really. You may think you're going to a furniture store, but you walk in, and there's the ice cream shop, and there's the spot where
Fuddruckers.
that's where there's the restaurant, and there's the theater, and eventually, you make your way to the furniture store, very similar to the Encore Boston Harbor. The casino is almost hard to find when you walk in. You see so many other things, and eventually you wind your way down the hall to the entrance to the casino. I wouldn't be surprised if people go there, have a great dinner, and don't even realize there's a casino on the other side of the wall.
Back in the day, you weren't in Boston, but Jordan's Furniture, which became Macy's, not Jordan's Furniture, sorry, Jordan Marsh had an annual Christmas event for children, which I think they moved to Government Center these days, from the old Jordan Marsh, Macy's. The Jordan's complex reminds me of that. You have to physically go through the furniture store, so it's almost like they're selling you as you're going to the theater. It's fascinating how they built that.
Right.
And you're right. This casino is the gambling's an afterthought. I'm not a gambler.
I'm not a gambler either, but I know I'm going to have a lot of fun experiences there. It would be, as we said, from Wakefield, you take the Orange Line to Wellington, you get on the free shuttle, you go to the casino, you enjoy the harbor gardens, you have a nice dinner in the restaurant, you get on the harbor ferry, and it takes you over to the Seaport District.
Well, wait a minute. You have a train here in Wakefield.
The Oak Grove, well,
You have
there
a
is-
train. Where does the train go?
The train goes to North Station.
So you go to North Station. You can take the boat, maybe.
Well, the boat leaves from Long Wharf, and so it would be a little bit of a walk, but my point is you can have the casino and the restaurant be one of a number of stops on your fun evening from Wakefield. Go to the casino, have a nice dinner, take the ferry down to Boston, go out and have a drink if you'd like, see the aquarium, come back, and all in one evening.
Now, we've got 5 minutes left. Should we do a part two? There's lots to talk about. Maybe we go back. Well, I want to talk about the Saturday, the tour, the historic tour of Boston.
Well,
'cause that was fun.
That might be a good part two.
I have a great
but
footage, too, from it.
That's good. Well, I think one of the things that I want to make sure that we share with our viewers today is the magnitude of this project. We've been talking about all the different elements, and we've been talking about the economic impact of these elements. This was a $2.6 billion project on 33 acres in Everett, the largest privately financed construction project in Massachusetts history. And we'd like to show you what the site looked like before the casino arrived. Here it is.
Wow.
It is desolate. It looks polluted. It was polluted, and you're on the Mystic River, and it took $100 million to clean the soil and the surrounding water before construction could even begin. And now we have a wonderful resort, and here it is. You can see the gardens, you can see it sparkling at night.
And in the daytime, you can see the Encore sparkle.
The Encore sign sparkles 24/7. So here we are, the most elegant integrated resort in the U.S. for all to enjoy. So welcome, Encore Boston Harbor. I think you will all have many wonderful memories there.
I'd like to thank Richard and Barbara, the photographers, Richard Davies, I believe, and Barbara. Amazing photography that I want to thank the Encore Boston Harbor for the photos. Just really magnificent. And thank you, Paul. You're usually our director. Ryan's directing tonight. Thank you, Ryan. How did it feel to be in the hot seat?
I enjoyed it. It's fun to share something new and exciting about Boston to Boston and Wakefield residents. As you mentioned, I'm not originally from here, so I usually don't get to be the tour guide because I haven't really known the area that well, but tonight it was fun to share that with all.
It's a turning point for the Boston area. And do we need to leave a minute for our logo? No? So it's a turning point for the Boston area. I think this show that we just did is a bit historic. A little bit more maybe over-the-top enthusiastic than I've been, because talking to Ray Manzarek, I'll let you be a little bit more fun maybe, but you know, it's nice to have one of the doors on our Grand Funk Railroad. But this is different for visual radio. We've returned to Wakefield, and we're doing different stories. We're going to do a series on opioid abuse. We're doing different things with Paul. So Paul definitely has great ideas, and I'm glad that we could do this tonight. This is different for us. And you did great.
So thank you.
Yeah.
It was, as I said, it's fun to share something new and exciting with everyone, and I am sure that those of you who venture out to the casino and the resort will really enjoy yourselves.
And just 30 seconds left. I want to thank Tom, Barbara, Ryan, the gang here at WCAT. This is a terrific radio station, TV station, cable TV station. It was just so much fun going with you. And 14 seconds left. We had fun. We're enthusiastic. Next show's about the tour of Boston. Thanks a lot. You're watching Visual Radio. See ya.